All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. It is Thursday, February 23rd, the long-awaited return of NBA. NBA is back, second half action getting tipped off tonight. We got a nice 9-game slate ahead of us. Looks like we also have a 10-game hockey slate, so should be plenty of DFS action to play today. I know the Honda Classic teed off earlier today. So good luck to all of you in weekend long round one showdown. Looking ahead to round two showdown as well. I think there's a LCS, League of Legends slate today as well. So tons of DFS action coming right at you. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew, one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions that come in the office hours channel in our YouTube, in our Discord server, or live in the YouTube chat. If you're just tuning in, have questions, throw them in the live YouTube chat. If you are not in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to get joined up. Highly recommend it. As always, fun place to be. People talk DFS, sweat DFS, share their wins. We all have a good time over in the Discord. But that being said, going to get SaberSim pulled up here. And it looks like we have two questions to get us going today. And first thing, I wanted to mention this. I'm going to mention this at the end of the show as well. But if you guys have not been over to the release notes channel in the Discord, we just released an XFL sim. We have been hard at work behind the scenes. We put up support for slates and player IDs and salaries where you could come upload your own projections and build your lineups. We have since revamped that, and we have a full blown SaberSim XFL simulation. You could come in here, you can look at the players' histograms and see correlation values to other players in the team on their team in the game. So we have full-blown support for this. Matt did mention there were some things that we are still working on, but 90% of it is done and here in the app, able to use, able for you to build lineups. You're going to see all the normal sliders. You're going to see correlation, ownership fade, sim diversity. You will not see ownership fade and smart randomness. So just one more time, full-blown support for XFL. We wanted to get it out for users to use ahead of this weekend. So good luck. If you guys are playing XFL, I will make sure to note this one more time as people trickle in, as people show up to the show, to let you guys know that we are now fully supporting XFL. Looks like Snowman kind of said that as well. Just a little teaser XFL builds probably right after Matt made the release. So yeah, get in here, mess around, get used to some of the names and some of the teams, and go through all of this. There is one like nuance that I do want to mention to you guys. So this if you try and filter by all the teams, you will not get anything when you filter by the Las Vegas, I believe it's Vipers, because it's LV up here at the top, and then their team name is in this team column is actually VGS. So if you are looking for LV, what I would do is I would just sort by team. This is going to sort descending. So because it's Las Vegas, V is going to be toward the end of the alphabet here. So this is going to sort Z to A when this button is down, which is descending. So if you need to get to Vegas, this is probably the easiest way to do it, is to just sort by team, and then you could easily find all of their players in this window. So the team is aware of it, and the team is going to push a fix for it, but I think they're more busy on some of these other things that we're trying to get finished with XFL. So that is one thing on the list to finish, but just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys are trying to filter and you cannot get to Vegas, that is why. All right. We have one question here in the Discord. So if you guys have questions, now is a great time to get them in. As always, going to hit this one here from K Gould. And the question is, when you're running late swap with NBA showing actual scores for players that were already locked in, does the sim account for those scores in any way? So to clarify, if I had a few low-owned players from early games that are crushing, so I want to make sure I have chalkier guys later, or vice versa, does it automatically account for that performance, or do I need to be making manually making changes to get that to happen? Good question, and definitely a good thing to clarify ahead of NBA returning. So we will show actual scores as they are updated for DraftKings specifically. We will not do that for FanDuel. FanDuel, we will get actual scores like once the slate is over, once the slate has been processed, you'll usually see those up in the app the next day. But we are at no point taking into account actual scores or standings or, where what contest you're playing, and then using that information as part of your late swap. So if you if you want to account for it, you're gonna have to do it manually, like you said. So in a scenario where maybe I had a player or two in these early 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off games do really well, really low owned. What you can do, what I would suggest doing is, one, dialing back your ownership fade, and also dialing back your sim diversity. By dialing back your sim diversity, what you're going to do is you're going to get closer to using the mean scores of players that you see up here in the app, which are the averages. So this will probably lead to the higher projected players getting into your lineup, which are probably like, better chalk or like better fantasy point per minute players will find their way into your lineup in a scenario like that. And inversely, if you're doing really poorly, what I would do is I would probably increase the sliders to try and get more unique, to try and take smaller buckets of sims where players can have outlier performances that are away from the average, that players are probably that users in the contest are probably not going to roster those players as much. You could also increase ownership fade on the other side there. Correlation, not really. Don't think it has too big of an impact. When you're trying to make these adjustments, I think that ownership fade and sim diversity are probably your best friends, and you're going to want to move them up or down depending on the situation. But what you are talking about is definitely something that we would love to incorporate. We know that not a lot of people in the industry are doing that, and we think it would be a huge advantage to our users. So definitely something that is on the roadmap for sure. Not sure what that's going to look like or when, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that in the app myself one day. All right. Looks like that was our last question in the Discord. NBA is back. So while we wait for more people to join, for more questions to come in, I'm going to go over and hop into the basketball monster news dashboard. And let's look at the injury report for today. I really don't know what it looks like since, seems like everyone should be fairly healthy, right? They had a full week off to kind of rest here. No big questionable names jumping out at me here. Trey Jones is still out with that like foot/ankle injury. Jeremy Sokan can possibly be important here to a lesser degree, but nothing crazy here. So looks like at this point in the day, no serious questionable players. Let's see. Ricky Rubio is out. Aaron Gordon is still out. That's probably somewhat important. Might see I don't know who's going to play in his absence. Maybe Bruce Brown starts. Maybe he doesn't. And then also Zeke Naji, I guess, is like Aaron Gordon's direct backup here. So if we were to go over to our depth charts here, we can kind of like see what the depth chart looks like for Denver, kind of try and figure out who's going to play in his place. I think you can go back to like pre-All-Star break. He did miss that last game there. But I also think Jamal Murray missed, so not too sure. But looks like Aaron Gordon, Vlatko Cankar has definitely been starting. Jeff Green could possibly start, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the starting lineup look something like Jamal Murray, KCP, Porter Jr., Bruce Brown, and Jokic, but we'll see how that all ends up shaking out. Jokic is such a dynamic player that they could also start Thomas Bryant, right? But we could also go back to see the last game that they played where I'm pretty sure Aaron Gordon did not play here. So let's go back to this Denver game. So Vlatko Cankar did start, Porter Jr., Bruce Brown, Jokic, and KCP. Jamal Murray did miss this game, so I'm assuming that's why Bruce Brown started. So my best guess here is that Bruce Brown goes back to the bench. Jamal Murray moves into the starting role here. Pretty interesting that Jeff Green, one, played just as much as Vlatko off the bench, and two, took like a lot of shots, which does not seem very familiar for him. So this is probably a spot that I'm going to be looking more into today. Not going to be so much late swap edge with so few questionables. So going to have to try and pick some spots here. Let's see what the minutes look like for Denver. Also, starting right at lock 2 here. But Jamal Murray being back could shake things up a little bit. We have 21 minutes for Vlatko, and we have about 18, 19 minutes for Jeff Green here. Jeff Green is like almost min price here, so that's kind of interesting. Will be interesting to see how this shakes up. This is definitely a spot I might want to look into more and possibly take a shot on one of these two guys or even both. But continuing down the injury report here, Steven Adams has been out, still out. Nothing like surprising there or new there. Looks like Kyrie and Luka should play. Not a lot going on with the Spurs. Pokusevski's been out. Colin Sexton has been out. He hurt his hamstring the other day when Markkanen was out, but I believe Lauri Markkanen is back now. Yes, he is. So don't think that there's a ton of value that opens up with Sexton being out. Steph Curry's been out. I did see that Klay Thompson is going to be available in back-to-backs going forward, so that'll be interesting. Andrew Wiggins has been out a while, and Nurkic has been out. Eubanks or Watford hasn't played particularly well. Malik Monk is back. He was sitting. So yeah, that's your injury report. I'd be interested in looking deeper into that Denver game and kind of figuring out what I want to do there. That's just one game, one instance. But is there any historical more games with a similar situation where you could go back and kind of look and did it play the same? Did it play differently? Is it kind of a coin flip? Is that something you want to kind of bet your slate on? I'm not sure yet. But that is a spot that I'm going to be looking forward to more throughout the day. Naj says, not sure if you answered my price picks question. I sent it at the end of the last show. Naj, I'm not seeing it. Is it the I'm assuming it's the will the prop plan do you do individual picks for the full 6-person flex play? So I did talk about that one yesterday. I'll run through it really quickly here. I also responded like in a thread. So there is a thread here. You could click like there's like messages underneath your question. So I just said a prop plan is not based around price picks specifically, but rather prop sports betting markets. So like, MGM, FanDuel, DraftKings, they all have prop bets, and we are looking at those props and seeing if we think the lines are favorable and the totals are achievable, and then figuring out what bets meet our betting criteria that we have internally, and then providing those bets to users. So a lot of time users will use the picks that we post. However, the picks that we post are not like specifically based around price picks. So a lot of times like we'll post like 6 bets. I've heard from users that like 60-ish% of the bets that we post are available on price picks, and then they will see if they could parlay, however many of those into flex plays, power plays, depending on what's available. So prop plan is like specific to like straight sports betting, not specific to price picks. But you can use it for it if you can find the lines. So I think that's totally fine. All right, 2G2 Great said, what's the best build setting to use for showdowns as far as all the sliders on the app? Okay, this is a good question. So going to probably just talk about like NBA Showdown here. So let's go over to this NBA Showdown we have here. And you will see a banner up in the app for our new XFL sims like we were just chatting about. So for the sliders, right, I wouldn't mess with them. I think that they're great at 0-0-10. What this means is that we are simming the game the Denver Cleveland game one time, and then we are building the optimal lineup from that one sim, and then we are going to do that exact same process up 500 times, or however many times are in your pool here. So we are going to sim the Denver Cleveland game 500 times. Each time we sim it, we are going to build the optimal lineup from that specific game sim. And then, by having correlation and ownership fade set to 0, what those do when they are on is they provide like a multiplier. If players are on the same team, they're going to have correlation, and we're going to like artificially inflate that correlation, because in certain sports or certain contests, that's a good thing, right? But in a showdown format, that is not good. We want to stay as close or exactly on the sim game scripts, and not deviate from those with an artificial multiplier such as correlation or ownership fade would provide there. So by staying at sim diversity 10, by leaving these other sliders off, this gives you accurate game sims from our sim database, which we feel is a huge advantage, especially in showdown, right? The game gets played one time. If you can find something like that very similar in the sim, that'll give you a huge advantage, as opposed to using average scores to try and build lineups for showdown. So I would leave the sliders where they are. I think they are ultimately great for showdown specifically. But good question there. And that is our last question right now in the YouTube chat or the Discord. I will hang out for a couple more minutes here. I see some more users have rolled in, so I just want to make this announcement one more time. If you guys didn't catch it in the Discord, we do now have XFL Sims. So last week we put up the XFL slates for users to upload projections. We now have full-blown Sims, so you can come in here. You can look at players' distributions, correlations. We have, all the normal sliders, correlation, ownership fade, sim diversity. So I know a lot of users are excited about XFL, and the prize pools and contests have been fairly good size. So you can now use SaberSim for XFL. We have projections, we have ownership, some more small adjustments to come, but for the most part, we have full-blown XFL support. All right. Question from Naj here. Question is there any way to get an edge with the prop plan similar to how we do with SaberSim DFS? So I would say that, the prop plan, we are like specifically, I don't want to say like we're looking for bad lines, because frankly, a lot of times when you like find a bad line, and then a couple people bet it, that line moves really fast. We are more taking a stance against these sports books and their models, right? So they have models where they come up with the lines and set those lines, set the odds, etc. And then we have our own internal model where we are simming the games thousands of times, looking at those stats, and then figuring out where does it most make sense to target a player, target a bet, where one, the target line is reasonable, and two, the odds are we feel in our favor, which ultimately leads to the bet being positive EV over the long term, right? That is what we were trying to do. That is why we are giving up to 6 bets a day. And if we think we have a good process, the more bets we can place on a given day, that just kind of helps you realize some of your long-term EV. So the prop plan has been very successful. We started it actually 1 month ago today. Our first tracking day was January 23rd, and we've been really successful with it. If you bet every bet, followed our unit recommendations, you'd be up 28.5 units. So the prop plan has been very successful in the month that we've had it. We didn't release it, in the earlier months of the season because we were still dialing it in, working on it. We didn't want to release it until it was ready, but we're very confident in it, and we think that I've heard a lot from users that they could log on, a half hour after we post a bet, and the line still might be there, right? So that tells you that it's not like we're finding these bad lines in these illiquid markets, that the lines are getting adjusted really quickly. These are probably more liquid kind of bets, and we are just taking a stance, and we have been very good in those stances that we are taking. So I think that, the prop plan in and of itself is designed to take advantage of where we believe our models are better than sports betting makers models. And so that edge is kind of worked in prior to us handing it over to you. And it looks like Naj is typing a follow up here, so I'm going to give him a second to respond. But yeah, no, check out our prop plan. It is available for pro subscribers. So if you are on SaberSim Pro, you will see an add-on at the bottom to add on the NBA props. Props have been very successful. Hoping to close out the second half of the season strong here. Naj said $10 for every unit. Will that be 10 times 28.5? So yeah, so if you're doing a 10 unit bet, then that would be $10 times 28.5, which would be $285. There was some conversation in the pro channel about how much would a unit have to be to you to make it worth signing up for the pro plan. And Matt was kind enough to basically do the math and show what a unit would have to be for a user to basically break even, and then any dollar value above that unit would ultimately be profit. So I believe the calculation was like around $8. You could probably go in the pro channel if you guys are pro subscribers. Go in the pro channel once you have access to that, and then just go up to the search bar in the top right, and then do some type of unit search, and then look for that. You can also put unit and then at Matt-SaberSim, and then it'll find those two things together, and then you kind of read through that conversation and see if that is right for you. So, one, you get pro, you get 5,000 lineups, you get access to the pro exclusive content, aggregating in-app, custom metrics, and then 2, access to the prop plan, which has been very successful. So big advocate of pro in general, and then the additional prop plan has definitely been worth it up to this point. But, definitely not trying to gaslight that too much. This is a show, want to talk strategy, want to answer your guys' questions. But hey, you guys have questions about prop plan, about pro, happy to answer those as well here. All right. Scrolling through here, I think that's our last question for today. Questions have been slow. Good luck to all of you today with, NBA being back. Hope that you guys are ready for a strong second half of the season. And until tomorrow, take care. I will see you. Good luck.